Right, we're live now. So welcome everybody. If you're just joining, Merry Christmas. We are doing a bit of an impromptu chat as a kind of pre-Christmas special to Swiss's Captain Switzerland, by the way. Subscribe, like to all his videos, all of that kind of thing. If you haven't already, to his end of year kind of Christmas stream or video, which is going to happen tomorrow. Just wanted to sort of chew over a few news stories and see how everyone's Christmas is panning out. And I do have the man himself here, so say hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Yeah, not bad. So how's your Christmas Eve been?
It's been all right so far, thank you. A little bit busy, but nonetheless not too bad. I just appreciated that was a very grandiose intro that I received there.
Is there anything else? I mean, you know.
I suppose so, yeah. This end of year video I'm working on at the moment, it's nearly finished. I'd like to say the word nearly there.
Well, at least you're getting it done, which I have to say, I've been running around like all day finishing off things. I've still got people to call and harass because things aren't necessarily going my way, which I'm used to. So yeah, I'm like used to being on sort of, I always leave everything to the last minute, which is not good, but you know, I'm used to things going wrong. So yes. But anyway, I just wanted to give people a chance really to hop in and you know, let us know how their Christmas Eve's going, what's panning out for people, and just to chew over a couple of the news stories, including the universal credit thing, which just kind of cropped up actually on my phone. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you about it earlier. Now, I don't view this as a huge deal. We just talked about this, right? So I don't view this as like a massive deal. Apparently private landlords are unwilling now, since the universal credit changes, to rent to recipients of universal credit, meaning renting is going to be even more difficult than it obviously already is. What are your thoughts on this? You think it's a bit of a non-story, really?
I'm not entirely sure. I think from what I've read so far, it seems like that would be what the landlord's instincts are at the very least, to go, oh, well, if these people are going to be on universal credit, perhaps it's less than likely there'll be a solid stream of income coming, especially with the transition onto it for that matter as well. Although we already see enough cases of private landlords acting like dickheads, or at least from people that I've met, sort of, you know, being of student age and having to rent privately, they've came across their own problems in the past. Are you a private renter as well at the moment?
Yes, actually, yeah. Well, in 2 countries, as it happens. But I actually spend a hell of a lot of time at my parents' house because I'm an only child and it's quite a big house. So it's a lot better when it comes to kind of obviously stuff accessible and that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think it's already quite difficult to kind of rent and do well. I think that people are struggling whether it comes to approval, but also actual, you know, the amount of money that you have to spend, certainly in my neck of the woods. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think that that's terribly welcomed as an overall thing. Of course, the answer to all of that is that universal credit, you know, shouldn't necessarily be as much of a thing, like a deciding factor, if you want, to people being approved to actually rent. What we do need to do, though, obviously, is regulate rent to a certain degree, because it's becoming absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I think fundamentally, if we're in a situation at the moment where we've got an existing housing crisis, not enough people being able to find places to rent or to live already, we ought to try and remove any barriers that are in the way to that at the moment. You know, save from building more houses, which obviously we both hope the government will actually start getting serious about as far as private renters go. Surely, regardless of people on universal credit or not, we really need to be encouraging people to rent out their stock to anyone who needs a place to rent, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I totally agree. And so both of us basically saw this, and we're like, well, much as they might be trying to rinse every single penny they possibly can, it's not a huge surprise, is it, that they're wanting to, because they are basically free to kind of do whatever the hell they want. So I'm not really that surprised. but we'll have to really see how it pans out. I don't think that in like a sector like I mean, we obviously already have a bit of a rental crisis, well, and a buying crisis, really, if you think about it. We already have like a crisis in both areas as it stands, making it even more difficult for people, whether they're on universal credit or not, to start renting houses. Probably not the best way forward.
No, I think not, probably.
But we'll see. I also saw our beloved area of Brexit. Ministers are concerned over Leave campaign donors' tax demands. So basically, the Leave campaign have been backed by a bunch of crooks. Is that breaking news? To me, that's not at all breaking news.
Well, this is the thing. On videos and streams I've done on my channel, I haven't particularly touched on most of these investigations to do with the different campaigns being investigated in the referendum, because from what I've seen so far, there's been multiple organisations and political parties on either side who've all been fiddling the amount of money they were spending in it, or not declaring certain amounts or whatever else.
And essentially lying.
And essentially lying. I think. I think last week the Liberal Democrats, they were fined about 15,000 due to some. I think it was some irregularities with the way they presented the money they put forwards. This week we've got shadowy donors to the Leave campaign. I think it was Vladimir Putin a few weeks back as well, or at least one of his mates allegedly. He's the one who's been manufacturing Brexit from behind the scenes. What are these guys in particular? What have they done in the latest batch of accusations then?
I just actually kind of reading it now. I think it's just questionable donations and stuff. I mean, it's being investigated, so I can't really say that they've done anything wrong yet. Like it's a bit like you and I constantly say, oh my god, like everything's allegedly, which is true. So apparently it's being investigated as we speak. But were the British public conned to a degree, backed up by a bunch of crooks? Let's wait and see. I would like to say yes, because I do believe that that's the case. But again, we'll see. I think as well that I'm more than happy to agree that there are people who did legitimately vote Leave for really, really good reasons. That I can also agree with, But I do also think that quite a lot of people were conned hugely. I do feel that. So, yeah, like I said, we'll just see how it pans out. I don't think it's going to be this land of milk and honey at all.
Well, I think neither of us expect that to be the outcome. I don't know. But part of me is just a little bit tired of hearing that people who voted Leave were conned. I absolutely recognise the point you've just made. There are plenty of people out there who voted Leave for perfectly good reasons, but I don't know. I feel like it's almost a bit condescending to Leave voters in a way. Like
it is, yeah. I know, and I try and avoid that, but I do think so. No. This is why I said I think that a lot of people didn't vote because they were conned, but I do feel that there is a proportion of people that were conned, and that it was more of like a gut vote as opposed to a factual vote, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm willing to accept that there will be people out there who obviously voted for either reasons they were misinformed about or may have since changed their point of view. But on that basis, I'll say, well, does that invalidate every general election we've ever had? Because none of the parties ever keep their promises when they make it into power.
This is true. This is actually true. But then at least we can boot them out after 4 years, or 5.
Well, true that. I mean, look, if we do end up leaving the European Union and you guys are still keen on us staying in, you can always try and get a petition together and do a referendum for us to rejoin in 2022 or whenever.
Yeah. Rowan's on. Great. Merry Christmas, Rowan. Well, and anyone else watching, we've got a couple of years now. But yeah, I agree. I mean, but it's interesting actually that you make a very statement analysis would actually have you being much less confident that we're actually going to leave, because you did turn around and by nature said, if we leave the European Union. Now, previously, until relatively recently, like a couple of weeks back, it was when we leave the European Union. That is a statement analysis bombshell. That means you're actually not convinced.
Well, I don't know how much of that was down to me thinking, well, if I said when we leave the European Union, shortly afterwards you'd say to me, hang on a minute, Swiss, what about if we leave the European
Maybe
Union?
you're like, hold on, I'm onto an arch Remainer.
They're interchangeable at this point. When we leave, if we leave, it's that big mystery 2 years down the road, isn't it?
Well, I guess a soft Brexit is kind of interchangeable anyway, isn't it? Like to you, it's basically the same thing, remaining or having a soft Brexit.
Well, soft Brexit for me would be if you were to use the phrase "when we leave." The leave bit would be in little inverted air quotes with my fingers. Me going when we leave in the soft Brexit. But you're right. Like hard Brexit, soft Brexit, not even leaving altogether. At this point in time, it feels like it could go any way, really.
Yeah, it's true. I just want to stop and say hi to Gerard, who's joined us, and to Rowan. So hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
All right, guys.
Yeah, I thought I'd just have a quick chat with Swiss on the lead up to the Milky Awards and his end of year video, which I guess everyone's really waiting for. I know that I am such a geek.
I've overhyped it now. This is the problem. I've hyped it up too much, and I'm still finishing it off. And I'm like, shit. Am I going to get this done before Christmas Day? Probably. Hopefully.
You're actually hyping it more by the fact you do actually still have Milky Tim as your profile picture.
I know this is my Google account profile pic for some reason. It hasn't updated to the actual YouTube channel one. It's still the old Tim Farron.
It just has to be Tim Farron. I mean, we all love a bit of Tim secretly, whether you like him or loathe him. It's not actually about real love or hate. We just all love a bit of Tim Farron.
Tim's eternal. His love extends beyond the reaches of Remainers and Leavers.
I've actually just done a video today that has 2 awards in it that I announced. If you want to, at some point, anyone watching wants to go and take a look. It's basically Dick of the Year and Do-Gooder of the Year.
Oh, okay.
So you can comment and vote away if you.
I will definitely. I'll be right up there. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, I'm looking forward to giving that a go.
Cool. So, is it? Oh, yeah. Ben just said, is it an end of year award and not a Christmas one?
It's all 3 in one. It's a Christmas special, an end of year review, and the Milky Award show rolled into one video.
This is great. That's like the best combo of stuff. and what sort of time are you planning on sort of uploading it and stuff, or will it be?
Oh crikey! I'd say probably if everything goes to plan and I get it finished when I want to, I'll have it up probably early afternoon or something, just so people can have their Christmas dinners, and then after that they can go.
Settle down and watch Chat Business.
Settle down and watch the end of year special or something. Yeah.
All right.
It's good though because that will replace because Charlie Brooker's not doing his yearly wipe this year, so that would be a good replacement.
Yeah,
I'd heard about that. That's not on. So yeah, I was worried at first that I was going to make my video and then I'd have loads of people comparing it, going, "Oh, it's shit compared to Charlie Brooker's one." You've just ripped Charlie Brooker off. If he's not doing one this year, that's great.
I think because he was too bogged down with because he had a lot of projects like Black Mirror and all of that stuff. So he's decided that he got like halfway through or like sort of 3/4 of the way through filming the wipe of this year, but then. I think he realised that he had too much going on, so dumped it, which is a shame.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, like on Christmas Day, that they show a load of films and everybody's like, oh, really excited to see them. They always pass out after Christmas dinner anyway, so nobody sees the end. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times I've desperately tried to watch Harry Potter. Oh, interesting fact, I've never watched Harry Potter because I've never been awake to watch the end. So, yeah.
I think there was one on today, actually. Probably.
Was that?
I think there was one on today. Yeah, there always is.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen them all, you guys?
All the Harry Potters.
I've read the books and watched all the films.
Have you?
Oh, sorry.
Carry on, Gerard.
Just seen the vast majority of them.
Yeah. Did you read the books beforehand, or you just watched the film?
Just really watched it.
What about you, Swiss?
I read all the books when they came out, and I think I saw all the films when they came out, but I don't think I've touched either of them since. So it's been a few years for me.
I mean, because everyone always goes to me, especially the purists, oh my God, you can't watch the films before like you read the books and that kind of thing. And I know that Lord of the Rings is like a whole different thing, but I had obviously read all of those books well before I watched the films. So for me, I didn't hate the films though. You know, there are some purists that read the books and say, oh my God, they missed out so much. I'm like, dude, they're already over 3 hours long each. Like if you watch them back to back with the kind of cut out scenes and that kind of thing, it's basically like a day and a half that you're going to be there for. There's only so much they can fit in, and like they didn't have a lot of filler in my opinion. I think that they were pretty good. I think that they were well made. I still love the Lord of the Rings films, even though I read the books first. But people are going, oh no, you'll find that the Harry Potter films are worse because apparently the books are much better. And I was like, well, I think that's sort of in the eye of whoever's reading it, right? I mean, like, because a book, like in a book, for example, the character's your own. So you read the description, you make up the character in your own head.
Yeah, that's true.
So whereas obviously in a film it's shoved in your face.
Although to be fair, like I remember when you know, Philip Pullman like published a load of his Dark Materials novels, you know, like Northern Lights and all of that. If you've heard of these. Then they made about 10 years ago they made a film of it, and it was meant to be this massive, like, big epic blockbuster movie with like Nicole Kidman and that in it.
Yeah.
And it ended up like it just ruined my perspective on the book, that because I'd read all the books, and then this terrible child actress just ruined it, and I was just like, and I don't blame them for not making another 2 movies out of it. So
yeah, but they just finished it because it was such a failure. Yeah, like this is it, isn't it? But they have to kind of treat it with kid gloves, right? Because people have such high expectations after it's a book series.
Yeah.
Could you guys give me 1 second? I've got a call and I have to take this. So
sure, no worries.
A minute. Keep the string going. Be right back. Oh, and hi Ben, by the way.
Hello.
Our resident conservative joins us. That's great. We've got a nice balance now. Be right back.
All right.
So have any of you guys seen that new Star Wars film yet then?
Yes, I saw
it.
I saw it.
That's
Monday.
Is that yeses across the board there? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know what Gerd said, but I don't know. Have you seen it, Cap? Because
I haven't.
Then we could discuss it. All right, I'm gonna say then we could have discussed it in tongues. You know what I mean?
I don't care about spoilers. If you guys have seen it, because I'm not really that into Star Wars, to be honest.
I thought it were alright, but there were clear and obvious plot holes. It's I don't know. I'm actually preferring the prequels better than I suppose you could call them the sequels.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the prequels, as in the ones that were released in the sort of early noughties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, Attack of Clones, Revenge of Sith.
Yeah, I haven't seen any.
I mean, I saw the other Star Wars films, but the first one I actually went to see in the cinema was Revenge of the Sith. And I actually thought that one was the best one of the 3 prequels, but obviously the best movie overall for me is probably Return of the Jedi, which is what they call number 6 now. I'm not keen on 4. 4 is like my all-time, like, I don't think it's a crap movie, I just don't like it, if you know what I mean.
Wait, is 4 A New Hope in the Star Wars chronology?
Yeah, that's the first Star Wars film.
The original one. I think I've seen all the older ones at least once or twice.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't really watch that much Star Wars. I'm a Trek guy myself. But Rowan, I would recommend checking out the prequels though. At the very least, just for the comedy value of it.
Okay. Well, like the only reason I haven't watched it is just because like people have told me that it doesn't really add anything extra to the fact that all the other ones, and they're not really as good. But I probably will get around to watching them at some point.
Oh, I mean, you're absolutely right. They don't add anything extra, and they're absolutely terrible. But they're almost worth seeing in spite of that, really.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, I did this time last year go and see Rogue One at the cinema.
Oh, Rogue
And
One was really good.
yeah, I really loved that. And considering it's like a prequel, so like you don't need to have watched any of the other ones because it's basically an introduction to the fourth, fifth, and sixth film. I thought that was amazing, and it really got me into watching like all the other films. So yeah.
I'm back, by the way. Sorry, I don't want to cut off your convo. Are we talking about Harry Potter?
Now we're talking
Star
about
Wars.
the better series, Star Wars.
Star Wars, okay. Yeah, see, I really want to watch that, but I know that once I'm into it, I'll just be totally kind of swamped. And because I had loads of stuff to do, I didn't really want to risk it, you know. So
I just get sad now because Carrie Fisher is gone, and it just makes me a little bit depressed.
Oh, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but I don't see where they could go with the next one, considering Carrie Fisher or Leia's still alive at the end of it. I don't see where they could go with that.
Unless they're gonna
bring in
make
someone.
like voice only, or they're gonna do what they did to Tarkin in Rogue One.
Oh yeah, because she filmed all of her scenes for the last movie before she passed away, so
Yep.
they didn't actually like make room
Right,
for.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So.
They can always give her the CGI treatment like they gave to what's his face, General. What was
Tarkin.
it, General Tarkin or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why, but I find that a little bit ghoulish.
Oh, it is.
It is a
It's
bit.
really ghoulish. I mean, do you remember a few years back when they first brought out like the Tupac and the Michael Jackson holograms performing on stage?
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, that was an actual thing.
No, I don't think I could bring myself to watch that. That would just be a little bit too freaky.
Oh, that'll be what happens in the future. Even once you've died, the copyright on your personality and individuality will expire after 75 years, and they'll be putting you in vacuum cleaner adverts. And
The ghost of Bruce Forsyth coming back.
absolutely,
Oh,
yeah.
don't take the piss out of Bruce. He came to the polling station and voted for my dad locally. Bless him.
Yeah, no, I love Bruce.
What was Bruce? Was Brucey in your constituency?
Yeah, he voted for my dad too.
Oh damn!
When my dad was up, when my dad, because he stood as an independent, and obviously a good independent candidate, if you're talking about local elections, is always hands down better. And so Brucey came in, and he came in with his Filipino sort of assistant,
World, whatever it was.
Wait, isn't that
no, his wife? No, he didn't come in with her. I know Winnie. She's a really nice woman, actually. We go to the same hairdressers. I'll have you know.
Oh.
And but yeah, he's really nice. He came in and he's like, I don't want to be canvassed, and I was like, I'm not going to canvass you, Bruce. And I was like, I'm just here to open the door for you, but I am wearing a massive green rosette and vote for my dad. And he goes, oh, he's the local independent or whatever, isn't he? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right. And so he walked in, voted for him, came out, and then he goes, oh, by the way, my friend here wanted to vote Filipino, but there wasn't a box for it or something like that. And I was like, don't worry, Bruce, I'll work on it for next year. He's like, okay. Then he goes off.
You're going to find a Filipino for Bruce's cleaner then?
Apparently, yeah. Running on a Filipino ticket, can you imagine?
Who's is it the president of the Philippines at the moment? Who's that complete loose cannon guy? The one who threatens
him.
The one who threatens to throw people out of helicopters.
Yeah. I fucking love him. He's brilliant.
Oh, he's absolutely mental.
Of course you fucking
yeah, because one of my mum's best friends, Beth, who's originally Filipino, is now she's lived here almost her entire life, and when she was about sort of 18 or so, and she was a nurse with my mum when my mum obviously was a physio in the health service for years, and she goes back to see them, like her family, the whole time, and she's like, he's absolutely nuts. But there are like some things in the Philippines that are so twisted that he's almost needed, like his extreme sort of approaches to stuff is almost needed. And it's like one of those things that you can easily condemn, right? But unless you're in the situation of another country, I guess it's different. It's quite...
Is it like he's basically Filipino Trump?
No, it is actually
He's worse. He's a lot.
a proper hardball. He doesn't say
He like has people killed and then they don't discuss it afterwards and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's really, really dodgy.
Yeah, but I've just typed his name into Google. The second thing is Filipino president says he once stabbed someone to death as a teenager.
Yeah, and probably got away with it.
Oh god, but yeah, he's extremely anti-drugs, isn't he? It is.
He is, yeah, but he's like basically a different set of rules. Like this is the entire thing. Like you can't. I mean, she's obviously horrified because she's lived in this country almost her entire life, and when she goes back to see her family, she's like, I can't believe that they're just like accepting of this absolute maniac.
Can I read you a few quotes out from this guy?
Go on then.
Rodrigo Duarte, I think is his name. In comments that sparked global outrage, he told reporters he had been portrayed to be some cousin of Hitler by critics. Hitler massacred 3 million Jews. Now there are 3 million drug addicts. I'll be happy to slaughter them, he said.
Oh, yeah.
See?
At least Germany had Hitler. The Philippines wouldn't. Mr. Duarte, who got his statistics wrong as Hitler massacred 6 million Jews, got to pump up those numbers, rookie, said that he wants to finish the problem of my country and save the next generation. So there we are. He's likening killing drug addicts to Hitler killing Jews. But strangely, he's saying that it's a necessary and good thing that he's got to kill all the drug addicts.
But apparently it was a necessary and good thing to kill all Jewish people too, according to that warped kind of mentality. So
yeah, that's what's being left unsaid in the air, I think. He's going, yeah, Hitler killed all the Jews, I'm going to get all the drug addicts. You know, what's the issue?
And the elephant in the room is maybe you shouldn't be slaughtering an entire religion for no reason.
But drug addicts aren't a religion, so...
Well, they are, but I mean, it still doesn't make it right that you would slaughter either. And also, this is it too. What would, and we're going to be here all night. This is a quick, 30 minutes. I bet we're going to end up chewing this over ages. What would, to him, for example, I guess none of us know because we aren't him, but what would actually constitute a drug addict? Because there are recreational drug users who aren't addicts.
Well, yeah, they'd probably be addicts as well then.
Like drug dealers and
dealers are the first ones to go.
You'd have to raid a house to find where all they're keeping their drugs and shit. And
so you're saying it would basically be dealers and then individuals that kind of do it daily, kind of thing.
Not even just daily. I think in his country he's going real zero tolerance on it. Like anyone who's caught with like a spliff in their mouth, that's it. You're getting sent out behind the kennels and shot.
Oh, he'd have a field day.
Come on. He doesn't shoot him, he just locks him up.
Oh, sorry, he throws him out of air.
Have you ever seen helicopter?
Helicopters, my bad. Fake news, helicopters.
Yeah, helicopters. Have you seen Bridget Jones's Diary, where she ends up getting locked up in clink for...
in Thailand. Yeah.
Does she get thrown out of a helicopter?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Should have done it, because their movies are terrible.
I don't know what I'm more shocked by, to be perfectly honest with you. The Filipino president, or the fact that Ben has watched Bridget Jones's Diary.
It's on bloody every Christmas.
I think I've seen 20 minutes of that altogether.
Exactly. This is my point. Christmas time, you last the first 20 minutes and then you pass out.
The only two things I can remember from the whole series is one where she goes to the Swiss Alps and she's asking for a pregnancy test, but she doesn't speak German or whatever language wherever they are.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is where she gets locked up in the clink.
Oh, yeah, she gets locked up in a woman's prison, and then when she gets released, she comes back and gives all the women inmates like bars of Galaxy and some bras.
Oh, this is the third one, which is Bridget Jones's Baby, right? You're talking about?
No, it's either the first or the second one.
Really? Because I thought I'd seen them. Obviously, I haven't. I probably passed out in front of them over Christmas. I just don't remember it. But no, I think that guy is a total, obviously the guy in the village is total and utter loose cannon. But I think the downer to it, yes, okay, fine, people could say, well, maybe he's needed, he has balls and all this. Clearly, he's up to his neck in corruption himself. So the fact that he turns around and starts finger pointing to drug users is like, really?
I think whenever Trump, it was like an hour before Trump got there, whenever he was still on his tour of Asia, I think he bragged about murdering somebody in his university days to a whole crowd, and they were just all clapping.
What? So he's like,
an
oh,
hour
I
before
slaughtered
Trump got
someone,
there.
and they're going, yay.
Yeah, he's like he admitted to killing someone, and then the whole crowd was just clapping for him.
Wow. I think Trump aspires to be like him. That's why he's always arse-licking these people.
No, I don't think that Trump really aspires to anything. I don't
One
think
minute,
Trump even knows what he's about. All right.
Duterte said last year he would be happy to slaughter 3 million drug addicts, and then he branded the US President, Barack Obama, a son of a whore for criticizing the crackdown.
Wow.
I know what he would have used. Hijo de puta.
But am I correct in thinking that Obama's mother did I don't think she was a prostitute, but didn't she do like cabaret or something like that?
Let's take a quick trip to Google and find out. Obama's, what am I typing in? Obama's mum job.
Yeah.
For some reason, the word anthropologist has just come up, but that's not for Obama's mum.
No.
Ann Dunham, is that Obama's mum? Was an American anthropologist who specialized in blah, blah, blah. She was the mother of Barack Obama.
Huh.
All right, I was going to see if she's done anything else then. In her early life, there's I'm not oh no, I saw the word vice there and I got excited, and then it was that her mother worked as vice president of a bank. Not quite so exciting. I can't see anything to
Yeah,
juicy.
I might be wrong, man.
I'm not saying it isn't the case. Maybe they just didn't want to put it into a Wikipedia.
No, I think I might have picked up a bit of fake news. That's all.
Don't we all nowadays? Don't we all?
I've got 5 unordinary. That's such a weird word for them to use. 5 unordinary facts about President Obama's mother.
Yeah, unordinary. Why would it not be inordinary? Yeah.
Or just peculiar or unknown.
Unusual.
Or, sort of rare, unusual. Yeah, but unordinary.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
ABC News, anyway. Number 1, she lived in 5 states and 3 countries. Right. So she's well-travelled. Number 2, her first name is actually Stanley.
What?
All right, then. Her first name is actually Stanley. President Obama's mother's full name is Stanley Ann Dunham, although she uses her middle name for the majority of her adult life.
Well, I'm not surprised since her first name is a man's one. But yeah, okay. I will be back in 1 second. Carry on reading them out, but I need
No worries. She was 18 when Barack Obama was born. She was only 5 years older than Hillary Clinton. Wow. And she has a PhD in anthropology. There we are. Some fun facts about Mrs. Obama. Or Mr. Obama's mum, we probably ought to say.
Obama's parents met in a Russian language class at the University of Hawaii, where his father was
a Russian language class.
Yeah. Crazy. Woo.
Do you want to share some crisps with the rest of us there, Ben?
It's not crisps, it's pizza. It's just
a pizza.
A bit crusty. Sorry.
That's all right. I'll just have a few of nice.
It's Christmas, why not?
Exactly.
Oh, seems to have lost good.
Right, I'm done stuffing my face now.
Right, so what am I going to say?
What are you going to say?
Exactly. What am I going to say? What's the purpose of the stream then?
Well, I think Angel's just wanted to get a few of us together on Christmas Eve. She's billing it as a sort of a pre-stream to my video that I'm uploading tomorrow. So I guess like if the video is the formal look back at the year, this is us guys just chatting beforehand.
Oh, so do we want to go through a timeline then?
Go for a what of all the things that have gone on this year?
Yeah.
We can do.
That would probably take a fairly long time.
Well, yeah, just do like 2 or 3 events for each month or something.
Okay.
All right. I've got a big list in front of me anyway of all of the things that went on this year. Let's see, starting back at the beginning of the year. So I had a bit of deja vu when I was researching this, because there were 2 things that I have in my list for January here. The first one is that the Red Cross described the NHS's situation as a humanitarian crisis, and the other was that rail fares rose by 2.3% in January. And I thought, wow, we're going to be starting off 2018 with more or less exactly the same sort of news for them too.
Right.
More rail fares, more NHS crisis. What else did we have? We had those. We had the by-elections in February. There was the ones in Copeland and Stoke-on-Trent Central.
All right.
Labour lost the one in Copeland, which they'd held
And then
ever
won
since that.
Stoke, didn't they?
And they beat Paul Nuttall.
Yeah, the Brexit guard dog.
The Brexit guard dog. PhD in astrophysics, guard dog of breakfast.
Yeah.
I've been wondering what to do about Paul Nuttall in this video I've been making, because I'm sort of going through the events of the year bit by bit, and I've got majorly hung up on the general election so far because there's so much stuff to talk about in the election. And I'm kind of trying to devote screen time between taking the piss out of Tim Farron and Paul Nuttall equally.
But like you said, you secretly love both of them.
I miss them as characters, I really do. I didn't have much love for either of them, but they were fun to watch. I'll give them that much.
Definitely. What are you saying, Ben?
I was just gonna say, are you gonna mention about Shouty Malcolm?
Shouty Malcolm.
Yeah.
That's a good clip to add.
I forgot about him. Yeah. They ended up being really good mates, didn't they? That was quite touching, actually, at the end. That was quite sweet.
Shouty Malcolm. Yeah. Making little notes there because I'm still adding in. I'm just recording like little segments at a time for this review of the year and slotting them in chronological order. There's a nice little bit that I'm going to start off with for the beginning of the video. I'm not going to give too many things away, but there's a nice spoilers, little not too many spoilers, but there's a nice little survey, a festive survey that YouGov had done about people's traditional treats that they leave for Father Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And what the British public's choices were and that sort of thing. So I'm going to start the video by kind of looking at that and going, oh, look, it's Christmas, guys. Let's have a look at some fun, festive polling. What does this have to say? And then we spot the fact that it's only got a sample size of about 350. And we say, this is unreliable fake news. I don't care what mince pies he's eaten. You need a sample size of at least 1,000. Fuck it. We're not having a look. And then we'll get on to the fun stuff.
I also don't think that we were fooling anyone the other day when we were having a chat about Damien Green and you're like, oh, look, this is in the news. And everyone's like, fuck off. Everyone's been all over the news since last night.
You're right, especially when the title of the video is Damien Green resigns.
Like,
yeah. No, I'll have to try harder to get one over on the viewers than that.
Well, I think actually it was when I sent you that screenshot. You're like, for fuck's sake, I'm out at the moment. I can't do anything. Like, I can't make a video on it.
I've been thinking similar as well for the news events of the last sort of 2 weeks or so, that so many of these interesting things that have happened have been after all the nominations and voting for the Milky Awards. Like, I'm sure the likes of Damien Green would have squeaked a little bit closer to being loser of the year or worst politician or something.
See, I don't really view Damo, like, I still don't hate him as such. Like, that wouldn't have altered my choice. I think my worst politician was Boris. It came down to either Boris, Diane Abbott. There was one more, probably David Davis.
It wouldn't
loathe him.
It wouldn't have altered my personal choice for the categories, but I just imagined once I'd opened everything up to all of the viewers being able to nominate stuff, there might have been a bit more of a mix in there with going, oh yeah, Damien Green on one bit, and I don't know who else has fucked up in the last couple of weeks.
Well, I think more the question with our current cabinet is who hasn't. I think actually, do you know, it's almost dangerous though, isn't it? The moment that you have a bunch of individuals that are so incompetent, can't keep their story straight from hour one to hour two, is that you almost become immune. Like, you expect your government to be a bunch of incompetents. So therefore it desensitizes you. So you kind of go along with it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I suppose part of it's down to a sense of overall apathy, because kind of crisis is now expected. Crisis has become the bread and butter of the day-to-day running of the government. Really, like it's rarely we have a week without one catastrophe or another. But I'm just broadly very cynical towards it. But in a what's the word? Fraudenschreuder, the one where you get pleasure. Schadenfreude. Thank you. That's the one where you get pleasure out of other people's discomfort.
Yes.
It's like I say, maybe I'm a real bastard at heart, but I just love sitting down in front of the news and going, oh, there's a happening. The government's shit's hitting the fan. Going to watch some coverage for half an hour or so. Have a nice drink while I'm at it. Something like that.
I actually thought that I would relish, like, because I've not been a fan of this guy. But then, having said that, I likely would not also be a massive fan of Jeremy Corbyn's government, as you know, but I don't actually relish it at all. Like, it's always something that I think I would, and then when I see it up close, it's like so awkward and so cringy that I'm like, I just don't like it at all. Like, I felt the whole Damien Green being dragged through the mud a bit unsavoury and awful. I hated the attacks on Theresa May, despite the fact that I have massive differences with her, and I wasn't like a huge fan of her. I have not been at all. Much like I wouldn't be if it was the opposite party. Really, I don't know why. I find it all a little bit awkward and unsavoury, and just not the kind of thing that politics is about.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it frustrates me how, especially with how incompetent this government currently is, that we don't have enough or more people that are engaged and also as frustrated with it as we are, because it really is awful. And I've noticed that, like, Theresa May, like, either herself or one of her assistants, those social media people, have been like tweeting some rubbish about, this year we will celebrate Christmas secure in the knowledge that our servicemen and women are the special time of year working to keep us safe.
After cutting them by 20,000, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like, I don't get how people can just keep falling for this rubbish and just keep being apathetic towards it, and just, oh, it's the new normal, and don't really care. And it's just like, well, you should care, because if you like, it's how we get things changed and how we get like positive change. So yeah, it is frustrating.
Yeah, but I do. Yeah, it is. But then this is nothing new, actually. Even though the parties have taken different lines, right? This is actually nothing new as far as voter apathy. We've had that in this country, and actually it happens in other countries too, the world over for years. But of course, that plays into the hands of incompetent governments, because they know that they're not going to get voted out. They can basically get away with blue murder.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. At least we do have a bit of a process now, and because they don't have a majority, they can't push anything mental through, because they'll just get voted down, including by members of their own party. But it also means that you get nothing done. So it's kind of like, what's
that's true.
I don't know. But I just feel like now, you're right though. Overall it's a very bad thing.
Yeah. But on the opposite end of the scale, you've got, not exactly the opposite, but in America you've got Trump and the Republican Party, who have obviously been voted in by the voters and the electorate, who are managing to get away with so much corruption, and they've just passed a massive tax cut for like the rich class and the upper classes, and now they're by quote unquote cutting red tape, which is basically getting rid of loads of regulations that are there to protect people, and saying that we're getting rid of red tape and stuff. It's like, no, that those are there specifically so you can't, like, it's like Clean Air Act, environmental protections, etc. And it's like,
which benefit everyone regardless of their
and it's in the interests of everybody, but they just lie to people and they get away with it because the people believe them.
I think as far as Trump and the Americans go, they're cutting all this red tape and all of these environmental protections that are in place and the rest of it, because I think Trump's plan is, over the next few years, he's going to try and put an absolute booster rocket on the American economy. Cut all of the red tape, bring corporation tax down to a record low, all of the rest of it, ignore all the green climate stuff, And basically by attaching America to play by a different set of rules in the world than everybody else, as much as I dislike many of the policies he's got, I think they're probably ultimately going to yield what he intends, which is I do think American GDP will tick up by a few percentage points in the next few years.
Yeah, but that's only because of, corporate. It's basically a bigger version of corporate capitalism where lots of big money goes to these like corporations and big CEOs, and the government is basically, it's not even a democracy. It's more of like a corporate oligarchy where you've got these big representatives who don't serve the people. They serve whoever pays them the most money, and that's not a democracy.
Oh no! I mean, and this isn't particularly going to benefit the working of the middle classes, in my opinion. It's not going to benefit them specifically whatsoever. He might improve the economy, and I think that'll do much better on his own track record, and maybe with his chances to get re-elected even. But
I don't think he's going to get re-elected.
Well,
he's got like
I wouldn't bet money on that yet.
Yeah, but he's got the lowest favourability of all time of any president. And he got less votes than Hillary goddamn Clinton.
Yeah.
Starting off. So no, it's just no way.
But you're always going to have those hardcore Trump voters anyway. They'll just vote for him whatever. Like he could, he exactly as he said, he could shoot somebody, and he'd still not lose any voters. Yeah.
I'll just say I'm keeping an eye on the economy as far as my predictions for the next presidential election go. If the economy picks up and it really improves under Trump, I think the electorate might swallow another 4 years of him. But if not, then he'll be out quicker than.
Oh, I couldn't bear that.
I disagree. I think that regardless what happens, I think that his rating was so bad even going in, and has dropped so catastrophically, that there is absolutely no way he's going to get re-elected. The only thing that the Democrats have to do is stand a stomachable candidate, and he'll get buried.
Speaking of stomachable candidates though, has anyone seen what's been happening to the Justice Democrats?
No,
I've kept a little eye on it. I know who and what they are. What's
been going on now?
So basically, everyone should know Cenk Uygur, right?
Yeah, from Young Turks.
Yeah, well, he was. I'm not sure what it was in the Justice Democrats, but it was something high up in it. And basically, someone's dug up some old comments of his, right, and they forced him to resign.
He used to be a Republican, so it's quite weird that he's suddenly
He's quite progressive now, though, isn't he?
Oh yeah. Well, he's like not really in our terms. He's sort of like centre left, but yeah. Carry on, Ben.
Anyway, yeah. So him and this other guy who's on the board with him, Kyle. Is it Kyle somewhere?
Oh yeah.
Do you know his name? Oh.
Yeah, Kyle something. Whether it's like a Jewish surname, right?
Yeah, I didn't know his second name. I thought you did, so that's why I was just saying. But anyway,
no, but I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember his name.
Right. Okay. Well, basically, Cenk and Kyle have both quit the board.
Mm-hmm.
They've been kicked out, basically. Let's say forced to leave. So yeah, and the replacement seems to be what would be called quite extreme left, not communist as such, but like
in American terms, maybe.
Yeah, maybe in American terms. But what I'm meaning is the like kind of like the loony social justice warriors. So, what I'm trying to say is I don't think the Justice Democrats are going to be having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, having said that, I don't think the corporate Democrats are much more popular. But the thing about, I guess, to a lesser degree, like if we're to actually be honest about it, it's the same thing with the Labour Party, the Blairites versus the left wing, right? But obviously, it's like a third-rate version of the Democrats. It's nowhere near as bad. But like, I can't view this country, I don't think there's going to be mass deselection of centrists. I don't think there's going to be this huge deselection of like sort of what I'd call either Blairites or soft left MPs. I just can't see it happening, and I don't think that's going to happen in America either. So.
Yeah, I'll second that. I think that any chance for there to be like proper full-on deselections, like mass deselections of Labour candidates for MPs, I think that's kind of gone out the window ever since both sides, for the time being, have gone, oh, let's stop.
Let's have an uncomfortable truce kind of thing.
Yeah, let's stop tearing chunks out of each other in TV interviews and focus on trying to get the Conservatives out of government. You know, they're still manoeuvring on both sides behind the scenes, but at least publicly they're not trying to undo each other anymore, which is nice.
It obviously helps as well, I suppose, if you know, you have such a crazy incompetent government that's at each other's throats the whole time, because they're taking all the news, aren't they? I mean, being the opposition does have its upside, and that means obviously it's less accountable for splits within it. It doesn't mean they aren't there, because they are.
Oh, they're absolutely still there. I mean, I think both.
Well, you and I basically.
we're testament to that, aren't we? Because from my perspective, I'm still saying, can't they fucking get on board and get behind the leader? And then you, being sort of an ex-Labour person, have said,
and I'm going, no, fuck off, I'm going Lib Dem.
Yeah. To be honest, from what I see on various Facebook, Labour Facebook pages and groups and all that sort of thing, whenever someone posts a picture of Tony Blair, when Tony Blair intervenes, like when he said the other day, I'd rather stop Brexit than get Labour elected. People on either sides of the, well, I don't know, there are some Blairites who still like him, but a lot of people are basically going, fuck off, Tony, we don't want to hear from you anymore. Why don't you go join the Liberal Democrats if you want? You know.
Here's an interesting proposition, though. Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Yeah, go
on. Because if Tony Blair were to be part of any political party, other than Labour, because obviously Labour as it is now is like quite left. So which party do you think he'd fit into?
It would be a new party.
Oh, I'd say the Lib Dems.
Yeah, Lib Dems.
Really?
Well, that's our only option, but I would say it would be a new party.
Well, hypothetically, if there was going to be a new party, then yeah, if it was sort of like the right wing of Labour splitting off once again like they did in the 80s.
And then we'd get all the Anna Soubries and the Heidi Allens and all of that kind of thing over from the Tories. So I think that it would be, well, actually, even some of the people that are now viewed as being to the right of the Conservatives, I think would probably join that, because they're pissed off with the shambles that is their current government.
I thought it would be something that was very sort of centrist / centre right. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I think.
It would be the new Macron party, basically, like Emmanuel Macron got on March in France. We'd get some equivalent here, I guess.
And you know what? People wouldn't go for it because it's necessarily appealing, but I think that many people in that sort of broad array of maybe kind of, like I've said before, you know, the really boring moderate voters, like the floating voters, the reason why they go for it is that I think many people are so disillusioned with politics. You were talking about voter apathy earlier, and I think so many people would just go for it because they're like, fuck it, we've got nothing to lose. This is just bullshit, like what we're having to put up with now. You know?
But what I would say to that, though, is would we not expect to see more people flocking to the Lib Dems at the moment? If that was the position many of these moderate voters felt.
No, because they got massacred after getting in bed with the Conservatives, and that's not something that people forget easily. But also on top of that, I think that they were never, first of all, they didn't come from a strong enough position. Like I said, their brand was already a little bit toxic from that, and they kind of lost voters in both directions. Okay, fine, fair enough. They probably get quite a lot of the soft Tory vote. We saw that in Twickenham, Richmond, and that kind of thing. But I think that they're too bastardized, basically. I think it would need to be something fresh, clean, giving somebody a bit of new hope and kind of going, do you know what? You don't have to put up with this absolute shambles, one extreme or the other. You can come here. And I think that would resonate.
Well, speaking from my own camp, at least, that I'm pretty satisfied with Team Jez in Labour at the moment. If there was a new centrist party that was set up, to be honest, I don't know. I think they might take the new spot away from the Lib Dems for me as my new biggest rivals in politics. That's probably the phrase, the diplomatic phrase.
I actually wouldn't mind it if there was, just bear with me on this one, there was someone in the UK that was like Trump, but like left wing. So you know how everyone says, oh, he's really honest and just says it like it is, whatever that means. But was just really brutal with like the facts and the truth, and just was not afraid to speak out against people that hated him. I'd quite like that.
Like if Corbyn grew some balls.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could have put it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to offer the imagery like that. But
you know how you come out with Tony Blair with a vagina?
Yes,
that's
Margaret
Sticer,
Thatcher with balls, and now we have.
Sorry, yeah, it's Sticer, but yeah.
Yeah,
And now we have Jeremy Corbyn with
some
extra
balls.
balls.
The new one, is it?
I do like Jeremy Corbyn, but I wish that he would just, you know, be a bit more hardy, and just like sometimes, you know, like when he got really angry during PMQs because one Tory started laughing at the fact someone said you should be in a care home or something, and he got really, really pissed. And I was like, that's what I want to see all the time.
So someone told Corbyn that he should be in a care home.
Yeah,
because apparently he's super old. Which, by the way, he's actually not. I was thinking that. I remember that happening and being like, "What? Wait, he's like not even 70, right?" And there are plenty of people in Commons over 70.
Yeah, I mean, your man Vince, Daddy Vince is like 70, in his mid-70s, isn't he?
Yeah.
But is it perhaps because Corbyn is going senile?
I don't think so.
Well, I mean,
no, but is that what he's trying to say?
Yeah, the joke fell flat on its arse, Ben. Sorry, no offense, but
that went right over my head.
Because it wasn't a good joke to begin with. That's why. But
wow. If this were your stream, I'd tell you to get out.
Bloody left-wing bias here. That's what it is. Bloody liberals biasing the whole stream.
Yeah, but actually, am I left-wing? See, that's like the question for the evening. Am I really?
Do one on that one if you want. No, I'd say you're left, Angels. I would say that on the big old left-right divide, you fall on the left-hand side of it.
Centre left, as far as it is now, kind of thing.
Everything you own in a box to the left.
I suppose it's always shifting, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Because like Sticer thinks I'm a Tory, for example. But then you also think that Blairites are Tories, so I suppose it's all like swings and roundabouts.
Well, I think Blairites are indistinguishable from Tories by anything meaningful. There are obvious differences between them, but I don't view those differences as being significant enough for me to warrant going, oh, hooray, New Labour instead of Conservatives. You know?
Yeah. I think. Well, what do you reckon, Ben? Do you reckon that sort of like, say, Blairites or people of my persuasion, you think that they're sort of like soft Tories, or do you think they're left wingers, or what? Like, what's your view of that kind of?
I think Blairites are left wingers.
I mean, you think the Tories are soft Tories, don't you? To Ben, that is.
I think Ben, soft Tories. Oh, the current lot. Yeah, I honestly don't think. To be specific, I don't think the government are
functioning.
I'm sick of this, Angel. Stop it.
Okay.
Stop trying to finish my sentences. Right. No, I wasn't going to say functioning. No, what I was going to say is I don't think the Conservatives are really Conservatives.
Nope.
They're not proper. Kind of like what Peter Hitchens says, isn't it? He goes, "We haven't had a proper Conservative Party for 50 years," or whatever else.
Yeah.
I think, Ben, then you kind of take almost the opposite view to that which I did with New Labour. Kind of, you consider the Tories in their current form not to be truly conservative, and I don't consider New Labour or the Blairites to be truly Labour or truly socialist or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So the whole thing is that so both of you are basically sort of saying that neither party is to the extreme, either right or left, that you would expect it to be, and that would be the only viable form.
No, I think what we're saying is both parties, or at least Tony Blair's party, were too close to the centre and they weren't truly Labour, as in what Labour started out being, and the Conservatives are too close to the centre and they're not really what the Conservatives started out being.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, politics, like the counter to that is pretty much everything evolves, including politics and political parties. So you could sort of argue that that's just basically by nature happened.
Yeah.
You know?
It's been a natural political evolution, but I think it will never only go in one direction forever. Like, you'll have convergence over the course of a couple of decades, maybe, and then you'll have divergence with them moving back apart again. I think that kind of happens naturally over the course of time, I think.
So do you reckon that there is likely to be... Actually, yeah, here's a question. I'll put it to you guys. Do you reckon that there's likely to be maybe a split off from any of the major parties, like there was sort of the SDP and, you know, from Labour and that kind of thing anytime soon?
For me, at least, I'd say no. I'd say it looked more likely that there might have been a split from Labour maybe last year when things were dicey and they hadn't realised Corbyn could do relatively well in an election. I think the Tories are holding it together for the sake of the kids at the moment, so they're not going to split unless absolutely no. I think both of the main parties are safe for the time being, at least.
Do you think mainly because they sort of have to be, though, not because?
Oh yeah. It's the forces keeping them together that are stronger than the forces that would pull them apart at the moment. There's loads of pressures on both of them with infighting over Brexit and the party's ideology and all the rest of it. But what both of them fear is the rule of the other, basically. Labour don't want to split apart because they will keep the Tories in power for another 10 years. The Tories don't want to split apart because they'll hand Downing Street to Corbyn. So they're both kind of stuck in the broad churches that they are, I think.
That's depressing. That basically means you're in like a stage of suspended animation politically. It's like either go third party or like pin your colours to the mast, even though they don't satisfy you, according to you and Ben.
No. Sorry, I said that Tony Blair didn't satisfy me.
Oh right, well, you're okay.
Oh God, I don't want to imagine Tony Blair trying to satisfy me in any capacity, really.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but what I meant to say. Since Corbyn took over Labour has now moved closer to what I would have liked Labour to have been in the first place. But I think Ben is still stuck, and I'm probably right in saying this, Ben, you're still stuck with the dilemma I previously had as far as New Labour went, which the Tories really? Still aren't proper Tories yet, in your opinion.
True, but they surely have sort of shifted to the right, as in to appease like the UKIPers and their fringe a lot more than they were under Cameron, for example.
No, what I'd say is they've shifted to right on Brexit, but besides that, they're pretty much still the same government that was under Cameron. And actually, a lot of the policies have become more left-wing.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a pull in two directions, haven't there? There's been sort of the UKIP, we're going to keep immigration to under tens of thousands, we're going to go for a hard Brexit, etc. But then again, you've got the energy price freeze and more house building and all the rest of it, which is starting to pivot towards Labour. So they're, you know, what direction are they going in at the moment? Are they? They're
in a direction where they're putting their hands in as many pots as possible.
Well, because they have to. I mean, you know, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'll say this much for the Lib Dems Angels. As much as I'm not really a fan of them at the moment, I appreciate at least that they are what they are. They're pretty consistent in what they put themselves across as being. We stand for liberal values. We want to change the voting system. We want to reform the drug laws. We want to stop Brexit. Even if some of those, end goals they have are ones that I disagree with, at least I know where they're at. At least I know roughly what their trajectory is and what they're trying to do. The Conservatives at the moment, rather unclear. Labour, there's a better idea. I think the manifesto is pretty solid, but there's obviously still the divisions amongst them. With the Lib Dems, there's not enough Lib Dems to be divided, basically. You know, there's how many MPs? 12 at the moment?
Now.
Yeah, there's 12. You know, you're hardly going to get a backbench rebellion of Lib Dem MPs. They're pretty much all on message as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, it's because they ain't got a backbench.
That's true. I do think that there are going to be pretty significant gains, though. Like I've said before, well, as far as significant in the sense that they've only got 12 now, significant gains in certain areas of the UK in the next election for sure, especially under Vince Cable, because he appears to attract from the Blairites and also from the soft Tory kind of thing. So like I've said before, South West, some of the outer London constituencies, including Vince's own, you know, those types of seats, I think that they'll do really well in.
Soda Water in the chat said, not sure Labour are too clear either, though, just talking about the parties. Labour, at the very least, they're not that clear on Brexit at the moment. I'll say that much. They're still a bit ambiguous there, aren't they?
Yes, but is that a bad move or a touch of genius?
It depends who
I'd
you
say
are.
it's a bit of both, really, because they get criticised either way for it.
True.
Yeah.
And I mean, because if they embraced Brexit wholly, they'd totally hollow out their Remainer core, which they rely on to win, because London keeps them competitive, basically. And by then turning around and saying, well, no, we're going to be a Remainer party, they then get rid of their heartlands, largely. So they're in such a bind that regardless what side they fall on, they're going to be unpopular.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's kind of like the Lib Dem situation in 2010. Everyone had a go at them for going into bed with the Tories, which obviously was completely the opposite of what we'd expected from them. But then, as far as the arithmetic went, in terms of the MPs, they kind of had to go with the Tories. There wasn't any other workable solution, really. Because even them plus Gordon Brown's Labour wouldn't have took them over the line. And I think there's a similar thing with Labour right now. They ought to be rightly criticised for the fact that they're ambiguous on Brexit, because they shouldn't get a free pass on it. But nonetheless, we can appreciate the fact that if they veered too far one side or the other, they would lose vast swathes of their vote. So it's problematic for them, isn't it? Maybe it's just as well they're in opposition until Brexit's sorted, because the moment they had to get in power and make their decisions, well, actually, even if that were the case, they'd already be in power at that point. They wouldn't need to worry about a future election because they'd be the ones making the shots already.
Yeah.
True, but like until it's sorted, or if it's ever sorted, this to me seems like a massive plate of cold sick that's never really going to be totally sorted one way or another,
I do think, though, that the one party that do seem to have their head screwed on right is the Green Party, because every time I see either like Caroline Lucas or Jonathan Bartley, they know exactly what they want. They're driven and they're focused, and they,
definitely, they're very impressive speakers.
Yeah, and if they were a bigger party, then I think they could have a lot of influence. But at the moment, they only have one MP, so it's a bit of a shame.
Well, at least they have one, unlike UKIP.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
True that. Oh yeah, UKIP's in a sorry state of affairs at the moment. But because basically they're not really on anyone's radar anymore, are they?
Except
I think
Question Time keep asking them back to be on panel shows, and I don't know why.
And not the Greens. Like, what the hell? Jonathan Bartley and Caroline Lucas are much better speakers than pretty much everyone I've seen from UKIP, except for Farage, as much as I loathe him. And so why do they wheel out these utter losers?
Well, I can't speak for how often they get the Greens on the panel shows, because I don't really sort of count it from week to week. But UKIP still do have a fair bit of representation as MEPs, members of the European Parliament. And, until the Brexit process is over and we're still represented there, I suppose that's still some justification to say, well, here's a political party that's still relevant to some degree in politics.
Yeah, but haven't you heard? No one likes Europe anymore. So.
Well, it's yeah, but surely if this European Parliament that we take part in is so important.
Isn't Molly Scott Cato an MEP as well, and she's a member of the Green Party?
Yeah, she is. She is, and she also stood as a candidate for Bristol West.
Yeah, that's one example.
Oh, the Greens have got multiple MEPs. Sorry, I wasn't trying to argue against the Greens appearing on television. I was just saying why I think UKIP still get represented on TV.
Okay, yeah.
I wasn't trying to shit on the Greens there, no. But
what I mean is, I think it's a bit disproportionate, the fact that they have no MPs, very little influence, especially since obviously the Tories took over their agenda, or have they? Because now they're viewed as backsliding amongst UKIP voters, but whatever. I think that their over-representation doesn't really reflect maybe people who have voted Green, or in fact Lib Dem at certain points,
I think at this point in time it'll be hard to justify why you would give like the leader of UKIP a spot on an election debate. Say if there was going to be one next year or something.
And that guy used to be a Lib Dem too. This is so bizarre. So now we have the leader of UKIP that used to be a Liberal Democrat, who is, I don't know whether you guys can fill me in because I don't really know him entirely, but he was like the less extreme version of that crazy woman who was like anti everything.
Oh God!
Like, let's pin everything on everything, and
Anne-Marie Waters, I think her name was.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind her.
You wouldn't mind.
Well, I mean, isn't she an absolute lunatic?
Yeah, that's better.
What, to have a lunatic in power?
Apparently Henry Bolton was born in Kenya.
I'm not surprised.
Ah.
I'd like to see a birth certificate.
Let's just channel a bit of Trump.
No, it's if you're born in America.
Right.
You can have a birth
Okay.
certificate to prove you've been born in America and not Kenya.
It was a joke.
I know.
Henry Bolton, as far as I'm aware, he used to be armed forces, and then he went and did some job. He worked in the police force, or he was.
Yeah, he was in the police or something. I did read that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. But compared to Paul Nuttall, his CV is actually rather impressive for a UKIP
but
leader.
the thing is, would he take as good a selfie?
You know what? I reckon he would. I'd say, on balance, if I were to run into Henry Bolton, he would probably be more approachable, easier to talk to, and take a better selfie. Paul Nuttall was just a bundle of human flesh with some bad intentions. That's all he was.
Who was trying to be Harry Hill, apparently.
Harry Hill with a beard, yeah. I was watching back some clips of Paul Nuttall getting ready for making this video, actually, because there was one clip I wanted to find where Andrew Neil was interviewing him about his views on capital punishment and waterboarding and all that sort of stuff. And Paul, and both times I think Andrew Neil said, so Paul Nuttall, is it still the case that you support the death penalty? And he goes, oh yes, I do support the death penalty, like many people in the country, etc., etc. And then he goes, but it's not UKIP party policy. That's just my own personal view. And Andrew Neil goes, okay, fair enough. And then he says, and isn't it true you said that you support the waterboarding of terror suspects as well? And Paul Nuttall goes, well, if there's a situation where, you know, it's life or death and who knows what's happening and you need to get that information out of people, yeah, I'd support waterboarding, but why not? And then he goes, but that's not UKIP party policy either. That's just my own personal point of view.
So what you're saying is I should have voted for Paul Nuttall as an independent then?
It sounds like Paul Nuttall would have been your kind of guy then. Proper hands-on kind of guy. He said when it comes to capital punishment, he's got to be willing to do it himself. So if Paul Nuttall needed to be, he's not the guard dog of breakfast. The guard dog of breakfast.
He's the executioner.
He's the hangman of Brexit.
Wasn't it? You made the best faux pas the other day when you were like, you know, I think that it's not. You said something about a hen, and we were talking about like chlorinated chicken, and you said, "Oh, it's not out of hand." Or you said something like, "It's not out of hen to realise." Did he do that? Did he do that on purpose? Because that was brilliant. No, but Paul Nuttall was always a bit of like a joker, wasn't he? You could sort of tell. Like he used to be a maths teacher or something, didn't he? You can sort of tell that. Yeah, he used to be like a teacher.
Man,
and. Yeah, but you can sort of tell because he was a bit of a joker, like when he was up on the, like on the, you know, in the debates, like up on the podium and stuff. You can sort of tell that he was used to at least speaking to an audience, whether you liked him or not. I think he was quite quippy, actually. He really entertained me, and so did Tim Farron in those debates. I have to agree.
Yeah, and that's why I miss him and Farron, for that matter, as prominent personality. Like, it's been a little trip down memory road making the end of year video, just seeing all these old clips of them going, oh, Paul Nuttall and Tim Farron.
Right. Slight off topic here. Who was supposed to replace Corbyn at that debate they actually went to?
I don't know.
Wasn't it Emily Henry or something? Somebody like that.
It may have been. It wouldn't have been Tom Watson or John McDonnell, even though they're quite senior ranking ones. I don't remember either of them being lined up for it.
No.
Well, they tried to bury McDonnell because apparently he's scary to the public.
He is bloody scary.
And Abbott, for that matter.
To be honest, McDonnell scares me more than Corbyn does.
Well, Corbyn doesn't have balls. That's why.
I want to run on the pound McDonnell.
McDonnell's got balls, at the very least. McDonnell, when he gets out there, you know behind his eyes, he's got like the Soviet march playing in his head, just going, that's right, I'm going to get in and I'm going to make us a nice infrastructure bank and I'm going to take all the fucking money off the rich people. And then you just hearing da, 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 da.
I think on a left-wing perspective, I think John McDonnell is a Joseph Goebbels to Jeremy Corbyn's Hitler.
I don't think he's a propaganda man.
Is John McDonnell I don't know. You know, Daddy Vince's 300-seat swing, Uncle McDonald's 5-year plan. It's all stuff to look forward.
Yeah, I mean,
I
like Daddy
more
Vince's...
like... What? I was going to say, I think he's more like Stalin to Corbyn's Lenin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Probably more
This is
accurate,
like
to be
history.
honest.
This is like history buff Ben speaking. I'm always like, "What are you on about?" And then I just let him get, do it because I have no clue. I'm terrible when it comes to that. I'm like, yeah, sure, thumbs up, yeah.
That's a pretty effective comparison, actually. I'll second that one.
Anyway, I'm gonna I'll be back in 10 minutes or so.
All right.
Oh well,
if you're still going.
I was going to say I have to wrap things up. But it's been a pleasure, a really nice natter, and thanks to everyone in the side chat. So have a great Christmas, and we obviously look forward to Swiss's video tomorrow. I can't wait. See, you've got really high expectations now.
Oh, definitely. Do we have 15 seconds for me to give you one tiny teaser of it before we go?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Stay tuned in
for it.
quickly. 15 seconds.
I'll be very quick. Yeah. You should be able to.
Oh.
Hang on a moment. Here we are.
Damien Green?
I'm not going to reveal who it is, but you can all have your guesses if you want.
Okay.
Sajid Javid.
So we've got Damien Green and Sajid Javid. Well, there we are. That's going to be like at the halfway mark of the video. I'm going to have a little Pokemon bit flash up, and then a cut to some adverts, and then who's that minister, and it will come back with the answer.
Brilliant. And who do you reckon that minister is, Ben and Gerard?
Really, no clue.
No.
It's the shape of the head that throws me off because he looks young.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Gavin Williamson, maybe. Oh, I don't know.
Swiss, I'm sorry, you made a big mistake.
Why's that?
Look at what you named it.
Who's that minister?
Yeah, no, top left.
Top left. Oh, shit. Quick, abort.
I didn't even see that.
Have you not seen it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, the file name was shit. How do I stop sharing it?
I can't even read that.
Yeah, there was a file name in the top corner there, but
Oh, okay. Also as a quick props, anyone watching the stream, don't forget to watch my most recently uploaded video where I have got an awards announcement. So don't forget to check that out.
Yeah, so anyone watching Road Dog Does Politics, subscribe to every single one of our channels, actually, even though I don't really do a lot of stuff, but every now and again we do impromptu chat, so it's always fun if people want to jump in from time to time. But anyway, so thanks guys for joining me, and have a lovely Christmas Eve. I'm gonna
Happy Christmas, everyone.
Happy Christmas. I'm gonna run up the road now and deliver a bunch of cards down my parents' street. So and have to drop into my neighbour who constantly goes, "Come in," and then gives me a really nasty glass of wine, and I always have to pretend like I really like it. So I will see you guys later, and yes, we look forward to Swiss's video tomorrow. So
Yay.
Smashing. Merry Christmas, guys.
Cheers guys. Bye.